Yeah, what about you?
What was the question?
I know the A24 fan base hates me because of the NEXXI video I made last week, but quite frankly, I'm not entirely certain if I give a fuck. So I watched X and I watched Pearl, so here we are. First up on the chopping block was X. The first thing I realized about X is the fact that it takes place in the 70s. I rarely see any timepieces that take place in the 70s whatsoever. It's almost always the 80s or the 90s because it's a lot more nostalgic to audiences, so it's pretty cool to see a movie that takes place in the 70s. Another thing I noticed at first glance is how similar it is to Resident Evil 7. X was clearly inspired by RE7, and they didn't even really try to change that much in terms of setting and tone. I've been easing into the southern gothic horror subgenre recently, so I've been thinking about watching the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies and other horror movies that take place in the South like this. Speaking of, this movie feels a lot like a classic 70s slasher. The audio design is very similar to that of Friday the 13th or the Chainsaw movies, so you end up feeling like you're watching an old movie despite it being only released a couple of years ago. But the thing is about this movie is the plot is dumb as hell. If I were to pitch this to A24, I would be thrown out of the building. The villains of this movie are just two old people. Like literally, they're just some geriatric fellows mad about some young people filming some smut on their property. Like, without the context of Pearl, it's very hard to explain why these old people are killing these youngsters. It's a bad idea for a plot of a movie with decent execution. The thing about X is the fact that there's nothing happening. There is nothing new or exciting about this movie whatsoever. It feels almost boring at times because of the lack of stuff happening, and the pacing with the kills is terrible. There isn't a kill until an hour in, and after that, everybody gets killed in about the span of 20 minutes. I do like this subversion of the final girl trope in this one though, but I can't really get into that plot point without getting into spoilers. So overall, I found it to be decent, but it was kind of boring, and the villains of this movie are so fucking stupid because they're just old people. So anyways, let's just hop over to Pearl. This movie is much better than X. This one actually feels like it has a soul. The color grading is surreal and very saturated with color, so the entire movie feels like a dream. Everywhere you look, you'll see something that is deafening to your eyes. Like I said before, it makes the movie feel like a dream, which is a good thing because I like surreal movies. Now, despite Mia Goth not being able to control her urge to kick extras in the face, she can act like a god, and she's one of the main reasons why this movie is so good. It is very hard to explain her in this movie, but let me tell you what, she literally made me shiver with just her words. Like, there's this long monologue near the end of the movie, and I swear to God, she made me shiver. Like, actually shiver in fear throughout that entire monologue multiple times. So yeah, this entire film is unique in every single aspect. It feels like a live-action Disney movie from like the 1940s, if the main character kept killing people. I have never seen a horror movie like this one before, and I've seen a lot of horror. Pearl is a very specific type of evil, so much so to the point where I cannot put half of the things I love about this movie into words. Pearl smashes X out of the park, and it's not even close, dog. This movie is incessantly better than X, and it's actually kind of confusing to how the fuck this movie is so much better, and how it's such high quality, and how Pearl is so good, because they filmed it and made the entire thing. They filmed, they wrote, filmed, and edited. They made the entire movie in like 8 months. Like, how is that possible? Like, this movie is a work of art. It is a feat of filmmaking, and I recommend the shit out of it. But you should probably watch X first because it makes Pearl better. Kind of like how watching Breaking Bad before Better Call Saul makes Better Call Saul better. You should probably watch X before Pearl. So yeah, I'll review NEXXI when it comes out in 2 months because now I'm excited to see it because Pearl was absolutely amazing. X can eat my ass. That's about it. See ya.